Welcome to Midweek Connection. And as I always say, thank you for being here. I'm honored that you would take the time to be a part of this with me. And I'm honored to be sharing with you once again from my desk right here in St. Petersburg, Florida, at First Unity Spiritual Campus, where I am honored to be a spiritual leader. And I'm honored to be the founder and leader of One Love Consciousness Movement. As I've mentioned to you before, they're congruent, working together to create a more conscious world, a world filled with love and loving awareness. And that's the awakening that I speak of. When I talk about awakening, that's what I mean. We are waking up from the sleep that religion helped to put us into. Religion almost sang the lullaby. To, in some ways, put us to sleep, to, as I've said to you before, kind of kick Jesus upstairs, demand that we worship him rather than follow him and the principles that Jesus left behind, and didn't want us to realize that we are also the powerful Christed nature, the same natural flow that Jesus walked in, that Siddhartha walked in, that Lao Tzu walked in, that all of these great teachers and sages and ascended souls walked in, is available to every single one of us. It's not something that is just for Jesus only. In fact, Jesus even said that. The Buddha even said that. If you go within, you'll locate God. If you go within, you will locate your centered and spiritual, true and authentic self. Now, this doesn't necessarily ring true for some people because many people have been taught to believe a particular belief system. I said to you before, and I know that I'll say it again repeatedly, the single most powerful obstacle that stood between me and truth was belief. And this is one of the reasons that I've been able to let go of belief and to live beyond belief. That actually is the faith walk. You don't have to have faith for what you think you already know. You don't have to have faith for a GPS. You just go based on what the GPS tells you. So the same is true for having a Bible or having a Tao Te Ching or having the sutras or the Vedas or the Quran or the Talmud. If you have those things, it's wonderful. Maybe they can point us to the truth, but the truth dwells within you, through you, and as you. Ultimately, the only way for the word to become flesh and to dwell with you is for you to awaken to your reality, the powerful reality of who you really are. And so this is an invitation that you get with this every single week. I'm going to ask you to take just a moment, if you would, and just center yourself in this moment. Allow yourself to just let go of the day. I love to pray this prayer of surrender. Spirit of truth, take from me what I don't need. Bring to me what I do need. Help me to be a clean slate. Help me to let go of belief, especially any belief that would stand in the way of myself and truth. Spirit, lead me where my trust is without borders. Let me walk on the water wherever you'd call me. In other words, help me to rise above the elements and the elementary school ideas that in many ways religion gave me. And it worked for that season. But it does not work with the maturing and the growing up process. So lead me where my trust is without borders. Help me walk on the water wherever you'd call me. Take me deeper than my feet could ever wander. And my faith is made stronger in your presence. So I let go. I release, and I enter the magnificent state of freedom, pure consciousness, essence, pure awareness. And with all of my being, I say thank you, thank you, thank you. And so it is. And so it is. All right, we are looking at verse 36 of Tao Te Ching this evening. I'm going to read from Stephen Mitchell's translation first. It does read a little different. You know, one of the things I found about the translations is none of them, I don't think, are really transliterations. So they're not really literal as much as they are interpretations of. Really, a translation of something is going to always have somebody's interpretation. And I like to think that whoever translates them is doing their best to stay as close to the meaning of the words as possible. But where words fail us, principle does not. And this is one of the reasons that I've said to many people before, if you follow the Jesus of history, and this is for my Christian friends, if you follow the Jesus of history too closely, you will miss the Christ of mystery, because we get caught up in the personalities. The same thing goes for Buddhists. If you're not careful, you get so stuck on Siddhartha, you get so stuck on the sutras, the writings, that you miss the writing on your own soul. You know, even the scriptures tell us that God's law is written on the hearts of humanity. It's written in your heart. You are the logic, the logos is in you, nigh you, even in your mouth, as it says in some of the sacred writings. If I was going to title this evening, I would title it something along the lines, well, this is kind of where I'm going, living in obscurity and living life on inner currency. And I'll get to that in just a moment. There's a couple of different things I'd like for us to look at. Let's read this Stephen Mitchell's translation. If you want to shrink something, you must first allow it to expand. If you want to get rid of something, you must first allow it to flourish. If you want to take something, you must first allow it to be given. This is called the subtle perception of the way of things. The soft overcomes the hard. The slow overcomes the fast. Let your workings remain a mystery. Just show people the results. Now, let me read this from another translation. What should be shrunken must first be stretched. In another translation of this, it basically says is the only way to know shrinking is to know stretching. The only way to know or to experience a feeling of weakness is to have experienced a feeling of strength. The only way to really know something is to be cherished is to know what it is to lose. In other words, you can't know really light without dark. You can't know hard without soft. You can't know smooth without rough. You can't know heart jubilee without knowing some kind of heartache. This is one of the reasons we find in the Tao repeatedly when it talks about not seeking beauty so hard. Because in order for you to even perceive beauty, you're going to have to know something ugly, because we live in a world where there's the constants of inconsistencies and contrast. So this translation says, what should be shrunken must first be stretched. What should be weakened must first be strengthened. What should be abolished must first be cherished. What should be deprived must first be enriched. This is called understanding the hidden. The soft and the weak overcome the hard and the strong. I like this in this translation. This is one of the things that I felt like Stephen Mitchell missed. Not that he did something wrong, but I like this visual. The fish cannot leave the deep waters. The state's weaponry should not be displayed. Let me go back to the fish thing. In another translation, it says, the big fish have learned to stay deep. And essentially, this is the visual that came to me. If you want to follow the Tao, if you want to be someone who's moving with the flow of nature, you want to be someone who's going to have longevity of life, you're going to need to learn how to stay deep in the Tao, or deeply led by the Holy Spirit, however you want to say that. Because the big fish who have lived longer have stayed in the deep, while the little fish or the immature fish have come to the shallow waters and they are caught by snares. There's another translation said the small fish go to the top and are caught by snares. In other words, if you have shallow thinking and you continue to think from that space of being shallow, you're going to find yourself constantly coming into the situation where you will be caught by the nets. You'll be ensnared by society. You'll be ensnared by life. Now, what does this have to do with living life on inner currency? This is where it led me to. Many of us have been taught all of our lives to compete, win. And if you're not winning, you're losing, and at all costs, win. or be somebody. Or if you can't be somebody, at least act like you know somebody or get a chance to meet somebody so that their somebodyness in some way will rub off on you. And now you can name drop and you can fulfill your somebodyness through somebody else's somebodyness. And we end up becoming imposters in our own life. And we find it impossible because we're imposters. We find it impossible to live our life fully because we're so interested in what other people think. Let me say it this way. When you lose the need to be seen, you will begin to grow. See, the fish that need to be seen in the shallow will be ensnared and never have an opportunity to grow. But the fish who they don't care if they're seen or not will remain deep and they will continue to expand and continue to grow. So eliminate competition from your life. Eliminate needing credit from your life. Big fish don't leave the deep water. Typically, they live longer than the small fish who go into the shallow and they get caught. Let me say to you in the words that it came to me just recently about needing credit, because I run into people all the time that are so locked into the need for titles and credit and position. People who are more concerned about position than they are people. People in ministry who are more concerned about who you might think I know than they are about being known themselves. So busy trying to impress, they never have the opportunity to express their true self because they're lost in other people's identities. The more name dropping somebody does for me, the more I'm aware of their immaturity to start with. And then secondly, also I'm more aware of their fractured and broken self because they've not truly come into their true identity. You don't need to identify with others when you have found your identity. You're not worried about your reputation when you know who you are. And once you've let go of needing to get credit from the rest of the world, you've started living on your own inner currency. I'll say it the way it came to me. People who need credit from others for something that they've done or are doing or something they concocted and just lied about. People who need credit from outside forces don't have enough cash, inner cash currency, to run the budget of their own life. So they're always needing to go to the bank of externals. They're always needing a loan from you or from somebody else to get credit. And that's okay, but you got to understand, at some time, your debt's going to be called. At some time, your debt's going to be called, and guess what's going to be charged with credit? Interest. See, if you don't find yourself interesting enough and you need to go create facades so that you can feel like you're interesting to other people so that people will like you, you're actually going to be charged interest on that. And when you pay it back, you're going to pay dearly. Some will pay with their own life because when it unravels and the truth actually comes out, then you're going to be further behind than you were to start with because you've been living in the shallow and you've been ensnared by your own hook. You're hooked on what other people think, and you have been reeled in by the fishermen, and they're going to cut your guts out and they're going to fry you up and going to have some hush puppies on the side. My point with all of that is this. Interest is always charged on credit given. Interest is always charged on credit given. Needing others' approval will keep you in debt to them. So when you start to let go and let yourself become your true and authentic self, when you release yourself from the need to be credited, from the need to be known, and you get out of the shallow waters, you'll move into the deeper waters, and you're going to keep yourself from being ensnared by those nets of debt. So the soft overcomes the hard. The slow overcomes the fast. Let your workings remain a mystery. Do what you do for goodness sake. Or as my friend Scott Watkins used to say, do good for goodness sake. Not to be seen doing it or to impress God or to impress other people. Do good for goodness sake. You know, I'm reminded of Jesus a lot because I love Jesus. And it's kind of a miracle with the religion I came out of that I do, but I do. I love Jesus. And Jesus talked about the Pharisees praying in public so that they can be seen. That's no different than people having to make you believe that there's somebody that they're not. People creating a facade around them that is so needy of being acknowledged. And I'll say it this way. I was raised to perform. I was raised to compete. I didn't know that I could stop competing, get off of the rat race, get off of the wheel, and get into the will of pure presence, move with the Tao, and start cooperating with the natural flow of life. Because when I did that, and I lost the need to impress other people and lost the need to have credit from others for what I'm doing, it's interesting because when you lose the need to have any of that, and you just go into the deeper waters, you expand, and all of a sudden you find that you get credit for stuff you're like, oh, I didn't even know I was doing that. People will say, but I saw what you did. And then, and if you're not careful, you'll get back to the shallow with that, right? But stay deep and just keep moving through life. If you're in need, you're going to create more need. But if you're moving from a place of supply, from abundance, and you're moving from a place of knowing who you are, you won't ever have to worry about who you might be. So it's important for us to live obscurity, as it says here. Let your workings remain a mystery. Just let people see the results of what you do. And don't force them to see it. Don't ask them to see it, because now you're right back in the shallow waters of needing the credit. Let go of competing. Stop worrying about winning. Stop being worried about what people think about you. What people think about you should be none of your business. And if you've made that your business, you're doing exactly what I said. You've given away the cash currency of your own inner true self. You've given it up to take credit from the bank of society. And man, they're going to call their debt. And when they do, you're going to be in a tough spot. So I think what's being said to us here is learn to just flow with life. Don't compete. Don't need. Don't be moving through life needing to be seen. Just grow in the place that you are. I don't think there's a single rose that grows and thinks, man, I hope somebody sees me and thinks I'm beautiful, and smells me and thinks I smell great. But as a result of them just being what they are well sought after. The water doesn't say, let me move to the highest point so that I can be noticed. In fact, it always seeks the lower point. But as a result of that, it's the most sought after and necessary element on this planet called Earth. So be as the water is. Be as the Tao is. Just do what you do. The Tao just does what it does. It supplies, but it doesn't say to us, you owe me. I love the Hafiz poem. I've been stuck on it this week with summer solstice and everything coming through and us talking about the fire power and the sun power. Even after all this time, the sun never says to the earth, you owe me. Look what happens with a love like that. You can light up the whole sky. And the sun doesn't know it. It's just doing what it do. And as we grow in Tao, we begin to just do what we do. Remember to let go of competing, let go of performance, let go of needing to be seen, and move through this life in obscurity. Just be who you are. And whatever your Dharma is will play out as you grow. The best way to stunt your growth and to stop your Dharma from playing out is to not flow with it naturally, is to be in competition, be in cooperation. And if you'll be in cooperation, you will find yourself growing and going and flowing and being with the natural flow of life. That will bring you abundance. That will bring you prosperity. It'll also bring you happiness and peace. I'm telling you, like not having the need to impress anyone, to just really express who I am. The load is off, man. The freedom is very apparent, and it feels good to be free to just be me. So once again, what should be shrunken must be stretched. Otherwise I wouldn't know. What should be weakened must first be strengthened. What should be abolished must first be cherished. What should be deprived must first be enriched. This is called understanding the hidden. The soft and the weak overcome the hard and the strong. The fish cannot leave the deep waters. The state's weaponry should not be displayed. Now, let me look at this. Is something that just came to mind because I had looked at the back of this translation. If you want to shrink something, this is what Stephen Mitchell added to this. For example, defects in your character. When suppressed or ignored, they continue. In fact, they grow. But when allowed to be present in your awareness, they eventually wither away. Or as Blake said, from a slightly different perspective, the road of excess leads to the palace of wisdom. So his focus was a little different. It was on this, if you want to shrink something, it must expand. He was talking about habits. We think we have bad habits. You're not going to ever get rid of them by suppressing them, by forcing them into some kind of a subjection. But if you allow them to just be present in your awareness, without judgment, by the way, they eventually wither away. Or as Blake said, the road to excess leads to the palace of wisdom. I think that that's probably more true than anything else. I was taught to suppress my sins and my sinful nature growing up. It did not do me any good. It didn't. But as I integrated all of it into my life by following these kinds of principles, I found myself swimming in the deep waters. And there's some things that just cannot breathe that deep. And they just kind of seem to fall away. And then all of a sudden you find yourself in the flow of Tao presence. You find yourself in the constant flow of the Holy Spirit and righteousness. It's a beautiful thing to just fully and completely accept yourself in that inner currency, allowing that currency to flow so that you don't need credit from the exterior. And it comes through living a bit obscure, not needing to be seen, not needing to be given credit for anything. It's a blessing. I want to say thank you for joining, for continuing to be a part of this community. Thank you for participating with First Unity Spiritual Campus. For more information about First Unity Spiritual Campus, just go to firstunity.org. You can find us right there online, and all of our information is constantly being updated. We're in the process of getting our app all updated. Our app is First Unity Spiritual Campus as well. You can find that in the App Store or on the Google Play Store. Also go to iamonelove.com for more information about the One Love Consciousness movement. We're moving in tandem together. We're in relationship together. We're doing the same work. We're expanding the consciousness of the planet and continuing to bring a message of freedom to all. Don't forget to join us in the morning for more meditation, and also remember to join in on Sunday. We're going to have our devotion contemplation time at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard, and at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard is when we have New Thought Church, and it's going to get good. It's getting gooder and gooder. We're in a series right now, Where Do We Grow From Here? And this week's going to get wild. Okay? All right. I love you so much. I hear the music getting cranked up, so I'm going to get up out of here. Peace and grace. Go and make it a great evening, because you can.